Posted by you, Tekuzo. Hello. My home country of Canada just happened to have an incident where Rogers, one of the big three telecommunications companies, accidentally cut off all telecommunications for 25% of Canada as well as the point-of-sale systems for most businesses across the country. This reminded me of a malicious compliance incident that happened during my time working at a call center for a Canadian telecommunications company, and I thought I could share my story. This tale starts all the way back in 2013 and involves my time working at a call center at the fourth largest national cellular carrier. For a little bit of context about Canadian telecommunications, and specifically cell phone services, Canada is the second largest nation on Earth, by landmass, with one of the lowest population densities, and the federal government has some strict laws about foreign ownership and financing of telecommunications. As a result of this, cell phone plans are very expensive, and the only companies that offer service are already established large companies with the resources to purchase spectrum and set up infrastructure. My employer was a newcomer to the market and was trying to make a splash by offering lower-priced services on the recently auctioned off AWS spectrum. The expensive cell phone plans that were offered in Canada were a real hot-button issue. Such a hot button that in the 2011 federal election, all of the major political parties campaigned with the promise to make services better and lower prices. I think even the Bloc had a campaign promise too. The result of this election was that in 2013, the CRTC, Canadian Radio and Television Commission, revised a bunch of the laws that regulated cell phone providers, specifically cell phone contracts. The updated laws were called the CRTC Code of Conduct. The new wireless code made a bunch of changes, but the most important were that cell phone contracts were required to be written in plain English, instead of legalese, and any service advertised as unlimited cannot have an overage charge, by law. These new regulations were a very big deal at the time, and employees at the call center I worked at were required to sit through multiple training sessions and take quizzes, tests about this to make sure we knew and understood the new laws. When this was happening, I was working in the back office department in one of the call centers for this cellular carrier. The back office department served several functions, but I had managed to find a niche in the department. I had become responsible for monitoring people's roaming usage when traveling outside of Canada, and disconnect them before they get bill shock. At the time, it was not uncommon to find news stories of people coming home from a trip and having an $85,000 phone bill, and I was the sole person responsible for making sure that this didn't happen. Also, I worked part-time, 3 days a week. The supervisor of the back office department did not get along with me. He would constantly harass me. I was previously in the technical support department, where he was the supervisor, when the harassment began. I eventually became frustrated with the way I was being treated and transferred away from technical support to back office so that I could escape from the abuse I was receiving. A couple of months after I transferred, he transferred too and became my supervisor once again, and the abuse continued. I am not sure what I did to this person to make this person treat me the way that they did, but we had an antagonistic relationship for as long as he was my supervisor. So in 2014 my employer became the first carrier, to my knowledge, to offer unlimited USA roaming. You could pay $15 a month, on top of your normal monthly plan, and get unlimited roaming in the United States. They also had offered a trucker plan, $35 a month, total, that would have unlimited voice, SMS, and data anywhere in North America, and it was marketed directly to long-haul truckers. This add-on and plan were a pretty big deal, as other carriers were charging $2 minus $5 per megabyte for data roaming. Doing a bit of research, Solo Mobile charges $6 per megabyte for USA roaming to this day. To my mind, monitoring USA roaming is no longer a high priority, as I can't disconnect people that have this add-on, or appropriate plan, because it's against the law. I continue to monitor roaming usage, and every time I see a user with a massive amount of data usage, I go into their account to confirm the existence of the add-on or a plan that would allow for this roaming usage. Once confirmed, I move on to the next account. My focus quickly starts to be focused on people traveling in Europe, Asia and Africa. There are fewer people roaming in those locations, as Canada doesn't share a land border with them, and the data roaming rate is a lot more expensive, to the tune of $20 per megabyte. This is going well for a couple of weeks, until my supervisor comes up and asks why I am not deactivating the accounts traveling in the United States anymore. I attempt to explain that I can't deactivate these customers as they have an appropriate plan or add-on, and if I were to do this, then the company would be in violation of the new laws. We have a back and forth about this, and the discussion ends when he says something to the effect of, "Just shut up and do what I told you." Maybe he said, "Shut up and do your job." I just remember hearing, "Shut up." Alright, fine, if that's the way you want to do it, can you send me an email with those instructions, please? Normally I would work at my normal work pace, but that day specifically I was flying through accounts. I am not sure how many people I deactivated. I was cutting people off left, right and center. I went home that night and knew that there would be fallout, and I felt incredibly guilty for negatively affecting the honest customers that were caught in the crossfire of my supervisor's bullshit. Because I was part-time, and only working 3 days a week, I wouldn't see the fallout for 4 more days. When I got back to work, the situation was apparently complete chaos. The entire department had spent the 4 days that I was off trying to reactivate people, and they wouldn't be finished for a couple more days still. I had heard rumors that some people, important people, had threaded lawsuits and all sorts of other shit as a result of being cut off when they had purchased plans advertised with unlimited data in the USA. The manager tried to blame me, but I had the email and witnesses to our conversation to back me up. IDK, if the supervisor got in trouble over this incident, nothing happened to me over this incident. I do know that he was eventually promoted to being the general manager of the call center and subsequently fired years later when we brought in a union over the shitty working conditions. TLDR. Boss asked me to disconnect several thousand cell phone customers when it was against the law. Sorry for any typos, I attempted to fix them. Edit. I wanted to clarify. I didn't disconnect people without their knowledge. The process was to call them, inform them of their roaming usage, the approximate charge that would appear on their next bill, and give them the opportunity to make a payment to continue roaming. Many people didn't make a payment because they thought I was trying to scam them. Now on to the last story. Posted by you, Dope as F. My 28M. Father-in-law, 61M. Won't stop commenting on my wife's 29F. Weight. My wife has struggled with her weight for years, but she's been great about being on a diet and has lost weight since we had our second child about a year ago. Her dad constantly makes comments to her when he sees her eating anything, whether it be a cracker or a chip or anything. He makes comments like, "Why do you need to eat crap like that?" And today he made a comment about her being able to fit through a space that literally anyone could fit through. She is in tears nightly when talking to me about him, and I want to say something, but I don't want to come off as an asshole towards him while telling him he's an asshole. TLDR. My father-in-law won't stop making comments about my wife's, his daughter's, weight. How do I address it with him? Now on to some comments. Has she considered reducing or cutting contact with him since he constantly upsets her? She never would. They run a business together, so it's not even entirely possible. You tell him one time that the next time he says anything, you will leave, hang up, stop texting, whatever for a week. And when he does it again, you do it longer and longer, until he gets the message that he is not allowed to emotionally abuse his daughter over food. I don't want to come off as an asshole towards him while telling him he's an asshole. Your obligation is to your wife. Her feelings come first, not his. Don't think of her as his daughter, think of her as your wife. You can stand up for her without being mean. Calling someone out on their bad behavior isn't mean. Tell him, "You will not speak to my wife like that," or something along those lines, and if he won't relent, then be mean.